Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about publishing your first book, and to do so I am going to be talking to a debut author, specifically the debut author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Holly Jackson. So today is the 2nd of May, which is the release date for Holly Jackson's first novel, which is a YA thriller that I recently read and very much enjoyed. I know, like me, many of you are budding writers or just have an interest in the publishing industry, so hearing more about a debut author's experience is something that you might be interested in. This video is very kindly being sponsored by Egmont, who publish Holly's book under the imprint Electric Monkey, and before we jump into my interview with the author, I'm going to let you know a little bit more about the book so that you understand the context of our discussion. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is, like I mentioned, a YA mystery thriller, a genre that I absolutely love. I've done a whole video about the genre, recommending some of my favourites on my channel if you'd like to check it out and look for some more recommendations, but this one ticked all the boxes for me. It is about our protagonist Pip, who is a A-grade student at her school. She loves studying, she has high goals for her future of going to Oxford and studying English, and even her parents think she's a tad over responsible. Before school she's conducting a special project that she is allowed to pick the topic of, and for that project she decides to look at a murder that happened in her hometown 5 years previously. So this murder was of a teenage girl called Andy who went to her school, and everyone thinks that her boyfriend Sal committed this murder. Now Sal committed suicide, so it was seen very much as a closed case, like he committed this murder, everyone knows what happened, although the body of Andy was never found. But from the offset, Pip is convinced that Sal did not commit this murder for reasons that will be explained as the book goes on, and she decides to conduct her own investigation, and it spirals much further than a simple school project and into the realms of like amateur sleuth, and she involves Sal's younger brother Ravi with her as well, because he too does not believe that his brother committed this murder. I thought this book was perfectly paced for a young adult thriller. It had that perfect mixture of like mystery and suspense, but also like cheerful good fun, which is why I like YA mysteries. I think they have that nice mixture of different moods and feelings, and I don't come out of them feeling really drained and miserable. I come out of them having gotten to know some wonderful new characters and been embroiled in a intriguing mystery, and this is certainly an intriguing mystery. There are constantly new clues and red herrings being flung your way. The pacing is just spectacular. It never gets boring, and although I had my suspicions of where the novel might head, I certainly did not expect some of the twists and turns that Holly threw in there. So I was thoroughly impressed by this debut novel. If you'd like to hear more about Holly's writing process and the process of getting this book published, then just stay tuned for my interview with the author. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
I love the book. It was like, for me, I don't know what other people have been saying to you, but for me it felt like a cross between One of Us is Lying and Veronica Mars.
Yes-ish. I sometimes like to think of it as Pretty Little Lies meets the podcast Serial.
I was going to ask you about true crime podcasts actually, because it was really funny when I was reading it. I was thinking, oh, I wonder if the author's a fan of true crime podcasts, and then you mentioned one near the end.
Just a bit, yeah. I didn't name it, but I was thinking of Serial in my head. Yeah, I listen to them constantly. Like if I'm doing the washing up, which isn't very often, or if I'm walking the dog, or just on the train, like the tube this morning, I had one in my ears. I don't know what that says about me, but...
Do you think there's like a tie-in though when this sort of like buzz of the true crime podcast began and you started listening to them and started getting ideas for the book?
Yeah, because I think Making a Murderer must have come out a few years ago. Yeah, it was after that kind of period where I was just like, and like I just like the format of when they start investigating a crime, the kind of things they can do, because they're not police officers, they're essentially journalists but with less access as well. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I could kind of take that idea and like put it into a YA novel. And so that's why the book is structured with like interviews, and it's got things like annotated maps and other stuff you might get from a podcast. So I ripped off True Life.
But you can totally imagine like all of the sort of like people our age, people younger, people older that listen to true crime podcasts could sort of easily put themselves in the shoes of the character in the book, thinking, oh yeah, if I knew of this crime that had been committed but I didn't think it was quite right, I'm going to start
we
an
all
investigation.
imagine that we can solve a murder. I do it on the daily. I go on subreddits and I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to comment because I don't want people to yell at me, but I know who did it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we all think we can solve a murder. I mean, I wouldn't, because I'd probably be a bit wimpy if it actually came down to it.
It's probably
and
lazy.
lazy.
Probably easier to solve a mystery as well when
I've made
plotted
it.
Yeah,
it's far easier when you start with who done it and then work back.
I am curious about that though. I've always thought mystery novels must be one of the most difficult genres to write because you have to really create something that's there from the beginning and all wraps up at the end.
I mean, the way, I don't know how proper mystery writers do it, but the way I did it was I planned the entire thing, so I knew everything that happened. I knew who done it, the mystery, and so I could kind of work back and see where I could weave in clues and red herrings. And I think I spent about 2 straight weeks. I might have had Pretty Little Lies playing on in the background, just so I didn't concentrate too hard.
No.
And I think I plotted the entire thing, and I had like little key cards, and I kind of shuffled the order around until it was right, and then I just started, and it was cool. After that, it was quite easy writing it because I knew exactly what I had to do in each scene. Obviously, when I got to the end, a couple of things had changed. So I had to go back and work through to make sure it all made sense. But planning is my saviour.
Sounds like we've got a little toolkit for how to write the mystery novel.
Oh yeah, and everyone loves new stationery. And if you're a planner, you get to buy key cards, coloured pens, highlighters.
Yeah.
So I love stationery.
Would you recommend to any budding mystery writers out there?
Well, yeah, I don't want to pretend to be an expert because I am not. And I know everyone has their different methods, but I find planning fun because there's no pressure yet. You don't feel like, oh, that's a horrible sentence. You're just going, oh, what's this person been up to? And you can it's like a pure creative stage. Then writing the book is the horrible part where you hate yourself and everyone around you.
When did you start writing the book? How long?
So, what year would it have been? So I had previously written another book, completely different. It was, how do I explain it? It was like an alternate historical thriller book.
Amazing.
Wherein it was set in like an alternate version of 1600s England, which was kind of like a dystopian. It was probably kind of already dystopian in real life, but a bit more so. And it was about a thief who had obsessive compulsive disorder in like this very strict society. So, very different. And I had been applying to agents, and I had one who's now my current agent who was like, it's a maybe from me, I'm not sure how we'd sell it, but I like your style. Can you think of something more, commercial that you might be able to write now? And I kind of had vague ideas for this, so I said, a girl who does a school project that's investigating an old crime in her town, and he was like, yeah, just do that. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So then, because I had him kind of on the hook,
because they knew they liked your writing,
he liked more, and I didn't want him to forget about me. So I was like, I've got to write this really quickly. So I did 2 weeks of planning, and then what I think happened was that coincided with November. So I think I was like, NaNoWriMo had already started. I think it was like the 17th of November, and it must have been 2016. And I was like, oh, well, I've missed the boat on that, but I'll just pretend it carries on. So I think I then just obsessively wrote it from kind of mid-November, and I finished kind of January, I think.
Brilliant.
I took a couple of days off for Christmas, don't worry about me. However, I would not recommend, if I looked like a cave troll after this. I mean, I still do now, but I was even paler, if you can imagine it. So I kind of purged it out of me. There it is, hope you like it.
Yep. And then what was the process of following on from that?
Then, so my agent had a couple of notes on things, nothing dramatic. The story has never changed, the whodunit, the mystery is all the same, but just some details of how scenes were done. So I reworked those, and then we went out on submission. And you always think in your head that submission won't last that long, but it does. It's not, I was, staring at my phone, being like, get an email, get an email, get an email, and it doesn't happen. I think you have to try and forget about it and live your life. So I did for a few months while waiting, and then I think it was about September 2017. I bet I've done all my maths wrong on these years, when I got the offer from Egmont, which was, very happy with that. I wasn't expecting it either. It was just a phone call, and I was like, oh, this won't be anything. I thought it was a PPI call or something, and then it was, good news. So, and then book went with them. I met with them, and they were perfect for the book. So happy with that.
And aside from the book specifically, when did you start writing in general?
Oh, I wrote a book when I was 15 or 16, which was dreadful. I actually think I still have it on.
Weird if it wasn't.
Oh yeah, but I haven't actually read it. If I go back, it might be a masterpiece.
That's true, actually. Yeah, let's not write it off yet.
I doubt it. It was called something like Elizabeth Crowe and the Sword of Destiny.
Brilliant.
And it was essentially a rip-off of Harry Potter, Narnia, and The Lord of the Rings, but bad. And I think I set it in like wartime. I didn't know anything about wartime.
Yeah.
And I think
probably been learning about it in school or something.
And there was a sexy elf, I remember. I can't remember his name, but the main character, she had the hots for him. So that was when I was 15, 16. And then I think my mum helped me maybe try and send it off to some agents. And obviously most were blanket no's because it was terrible. But I think I got some nice replies from some who were like, oh, not for now, but if you're older, maybe send something back when it's better.
That's encouraging though.
Yeah, and I actually know the agent who gave me that feedback. She's in the same office with my now current agent, and I'd forgotten. And when I moved out of my parents' house, I found this letter from her, which was really sweet. So I showed her, and it was like 10 years later.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a lovely story. It's incredible though that you actually even managed to finish a whole book at that age.
Not even that. So I'm a bit of a serial overwriter. So the book is quite long. I think
just over 400 pages.
Yeah, I think it's 440-ish, which is I can't remember the exact final word count, but it's just over 100,000 words. Oh, okay. And when I tell people that, they're like, oh, what? Their YA books tend to be like 80. I mean, it can vary. Some people write 300,000 words. But when 100 people go like, oh, that's quite long, and I'm like, oh, sorry. However, I think I looked back at this masterpiece I wrote when I was 15, and I think it was like 120,000 words.
Wow.
So not only did I write a book, God, I was a nerd.
Yeah, bigger than Harry Potter.
Yeah, but I wrote a thick book.
Yeah. But I mean, that sounds like a lot, when you say it, and I think of young adult literature, but it doesn't read like it's too long. Like, it never stalls. The pacing always feels very, like, in tune. It flows nicely.
I think it's because I always have a lot of plot I want to fit in. It's not, the length doesn't necessarily come from description or characterization. It's because I'm like, oh, that's a cool scene, I'll put that in, and then I get attached to them, and I'm like, no, you can't get rid of it. But if you plan a mystery and you weave in your clues, it's hard for an editor to be like, oh, if we delete that or move that around, because once you play with the structure, the whole thing kind of falls down. Because you're like, oh, well, you can't move that because that clue leads on to that. So I found with this book that once I had the structure of what it was going to be, it couldn't really stray from that too much, because it makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. So, I mean, your dalliances with writing before then, you seem to have tried out a few different genres.
I did, didn't I? Fantasy, and then some
historical
weird thing.
Do you think you will stay in the sort of thriller mystery genre with your next writing project?
I think I will. I've actually finished writing my second book currently, and it is in broad term of mystery thriller. I think any book ideas I have will kind of be under that umbrella, but I do kind of want to in future, got some ideas for kind of supernatural mystery thrillers as well, but I think they will always be like a mystery, like something they have to solve and fast paced, but I do want to kind of not always have, you know, teenage girl, small town,
Yeah.
old murder crime. And
What-
don't expect me to write it in 10 weeks again. This is what I've learned with my book too. No. I don't think I'll be
Very different
fixing that.
experience.
Oh yeah, it took a lot longer. It's a very different kind of book and it needed a lot of research.
Okay.
Whereas this was quite heavily researched because I wanted to get all the crime things right and the police procedure
Yeah.
correct. But yeah, I'm not going to write a complicated book like my book 2 ever again.
Has the publishing process kind of been what you expected it to be, or has it differed sort of from your expectations?
I don't know if I really had that many expectations because, I mean, other than, of course, when I was submitting, you would Google and be like, oh, what happens when your book gets picked up? Oh, 7-figure advances, oh, all that, and you hear the atypical stories.
Yes.
But the actual process, I don't know if I really went in having any expectations. And I also think, comparing my experience with other of my friends who are coming out similar, it's all different depending on the book and the publisher and what it kind of means. But the editing wasn't so bad. I mean, during the time I probably would have said differently, but looking back now, we had quite an easy job fixing the book up, and we had to do it quite quickly because we had some early copies out for Yauk.
Ah, okay.
So my editor and I had some sleepless nights leading up to it. We were emailing each other at 5 a.m. and I think the day before I sent them, oh no, it was my deadline day to send them back to her, and I'd stayed up the whole night and I sent it at like 7:30. And I was like, and now I'm going to bed.
I mean, your process is so affected by sort of like the big dates in publishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of like, this is when things happen, so we have to do
So
it.
we have to get it, ready for Yauk. But we made it just about. So then after so that was when did we do edits? Last May, June?
Yeah.
So it was like a year ago.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, since then we did some copy edits, but that's not really anything that changes. So actually the book's kind of been finished-ish for almost a year now. So.
Well, I'm sure there are many people watching this who are curious because there's a lot of budding writers out there.
Yes.
Do you have a piece of writing advice that you've maybe gained during this whole experience that you would give to others?
I'm not very wise, so I wouldn't trust anything I say. Take it with a grain of salt. Also, everyone is different, obviously. Some people don't like to know where a story is going when they're writing. I personally find planning saves you a lot of time, and I find it fun. I know it's nerdy, but it's fun when you create the story. It's like a film in your head, and then you have to do the hard work of putting it down on the book. I would say, if you're writing, particularly in a genre that's mystery, always keep the reader in mind, because you will know what the conclusion is going to be.
Yeah.
You kind of have to pretend you don't, even though you do, as you go through, and read it as though you were seeing it with fresh eyes and see, you know, how you would think if you were reading that scene, and then you can manipulate people.
I love that. It's an excuse, to manipulate people. It's like the only legitimate way you could.
It's the only way I'm really going to be an evil mastermind is through fictional characters.
So the book is out today, the 2nd of May. I would highly recommend checking it out, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, I was just threatening them.
Oh, just behind my back. It's okay, it's well within the tone of the book.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just a character.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.